My name is Timo Josten. I'm the Partner Program Manager at Google. And thank you, Pascal. I think the main key takeaway that I took from his presentation, apart from that I don't speak any Dutch, is it's a very exciting time. And there's a lot of exciting products, exciting technologies that are coming out. And I have the pleasure of talking about probably the most exciting product. And that's Google Analytics. How many of you have heard of Google Analytics? Thank God. Even more importantly, how many of you have actually used Google Analytics? All of you in the front should have. You did. Okay. How many of you have heard of Urchin? A little less. And I'm going to go and talk around basically today the evolution. So how do we get here? Where are we going? And what are the plans ahead with this platform? With probably, I would argue, the most exciting platform currently at Google. And my main key objective really today is to get you excited, to get you to use this product even more detailed, and to give you an idea of where we're headed roughly. I can't really share too much detail. That's something that we don't really do at Google, unfortunately, is give you kind of, a heads up on what's happening. But I have a sneak peek. We have a sneak peek trailer. You can see the feature film is still in production, but the trailer is coming, and I'm going to show that to you in a few minutes. And then I'm also going to talk about one thing that remains constantly the same. And Pascal had actually talked about it quite in detail, and that's the idea of testing. The ability to constantly be testing, trying out new things. And part of this entire kind of vision is that through our products, we are able to do many more things. We are able to become more granular. We're able to become more connected with our users, with our clients. And it's really the products and the technology that will enable us to become smarter, quicker, faster, more competitive. And talking about that, this is where we are right now and kind of where we're headed. It's an exponential growth. There's basically three parts to this, or probably many more, but to put it into really basic terms, there used to be a time where it was only about information, where it was really just going online. You only had Yahoo, you had Like Us, you had all those different search engines helping you find information online, and then you have Google, and you have a very, very small amount of people, very privileged people using the internet. And it was all very simple, it was all relatively fun, but it was really a gimmick. Nobody really believed that this is going to be what it is today. And the second part is actually distribution to commerce, where people started realizing, hey, wait a minute, I can actually start buying stuff online. I can start selling stuff online. I can start connecting online. And as you see here, this kind of exponential growth of users going online drove this technology. And as the technology actually progressed, we're getting more engaging. We're now at a stage where it's all about communication, where we're now talking to each other through all these different products, all these different devices, all these different ways of getting online. And looking ahead, so last year, if you have a look at these figures, pretty spectacular. But nowhere near as spectacular as where we're headed. I mean, we're talking exponential. So, and this is something I believe that makes me exceptionally excited working for Google, because we share this vision internally of this exponential growth and the opportunity and the excitement that is ahead of us. And it's really, the next 10 years, we're going to see some phenomenal growth. So we're almost going to triple the amount of people that are online, which is crazy. I mean, I believe, I'm not 100% certain about this, but Indonesia, for example, is going to become one of the largest internet-using countries in the world. Absolutely fascinating. That's something that I wasn't actually aware of. So there's all these different countries in the developing world and where basically our ability to go online is possible. And obviously, important is the kind of mobile subscribers are going to double. It's probably a really relatively conservative estimate, but phenomenally exciting. And then by mobile, I mean, it can mean multiple mobile devices. You have the tablets, you have, and who knows what is next. Maybe we'll be wired directly to some kind of device at some point, I don't know. But much more importantly, we will have a dramatic escalation of information. So we're going to see an insane amount of data being pushed out onto the web. So, I mean, everybody's heard of cloud computing. What this really means, I think, is something that we can't really imagine yet. And the trend that we are seeing, and that we're forecasting, is absolutely incredible. The amount of data that you will start basically pushing out is going to be absolutely phenomenal. And that's where measurement for you as marketers is going to be extremely important. And specifically around search marketing is, we call it the 3 Bs. It's be found, be engaging, be accountable. And we're basically here, or I'm going to talk about being accountable. And with this amount of data coming towards you and your clients in the next 10 years, being accountable is going to become quite a challenge. And that's where we're going to help. Free product, which is even more phenomenal. That's Google Analytics. But before I go into this, do you remember the good old days where the information, space? You go online, you read a cooking recipe, or you send an email, or whatever. You used to only have a very simple way of measuring what was happening on the website. It's a very simple, visit clicks. I mean, how many of you guys remember these? They're still kind of around in some cases where you go online and say, oh wow, I've got 1,000 people visit my site. Oh, hell yeah, this is amazing. And as people became more engaged, and as if you remember this exponential growth, as people became confident in buying online, spending time online, spending money online, as our technology progressed, we progressed the tools that enabled us to understand what these users are doing. And this is not something new. So this is something I would argue is pretty, from a visionary perspective, is pretty standard in our human evolution. So we've always wanted to measure. We've always wanted to control. We always wanted to be absolutely competitive. We're a relatively aggressive species, which is unfortunate, but it also shows how, as our technology progresses, we have this desire, this innate desire to understand what it is that we're doing, what other people are doing. And these tools, over the years, will progress. So in the instance of this car, fairly simple standard measurement tool of understanding how fast you're going. That you need to know the details of the rev and whatnot. But as we advance, so does our technology to measure it. So as we advance, we become a lot more complicated. Things become a lot more complicated. And I believe at some point it's going to become a breaking point. And Pascal briefly talked about it. Probably, I don't know if he exactly touched on it in direct kind of a way, but what you saw is there are now technologies that help you make sense of this dashboard. There's no way, the average person, to become a pilot is exceptionally hard. And there is probably, one could argue, a time now where to become a web analyst or become an analyst, you need to understand these dashboards. And it's extremely tough for the average person to go in and make sense of this all. And one of the things at Google we strongly believe is to make things simple, accessible, and understandable, and use technology to leverage insights and to drive these insights. So I don't know how many of you have heard of intelligence in Google Analytics. It's only a few. So absolutely important that if you are logging into Google Analytics, that you have and spend some time with intelligence. It's pretty much our key selling point, I would almost argue. It's the tip of the iceberg of where you can see we're going with this data, making sense with it, making data intelligent, working for you, using technology, making it work for you. And this kind of evolution, if you like, can be applied to web analytics as well. So the term here, web analytics, really is silly. It's not anymore about web analytics. It's actually quite awful that we still call it web analytics. Excuse me. because it's much more than that. We're no longer just talking about the website. We're not talking about those little tickers where you see how many people came to your site. It's really, and it's multiple verticals sliding into your platform of choice, so your analytics platform. So, and that's really the vision that we have for Google Analytics is, if you think of it as a horizontal, and all of your different media is slotting it vertically. And that's a challenge that we have, and I can guarantee you that going forward over the next few months and years, things move very quickly at Google. It's going to become very exciting. So it's not just web analytics. It's much, much more than that. We have the sites, we have your rich media, we have your devices. It's no longer just mobiles. Who knows what's next, essentially, but I can guarantee that we will make it possible for you to measure this. And then of course social, which is massive. We're in an age of talking, communicating. It's exceptionally important to understand what your users, what your clients' users, what your clients' customers are talking about. And all of this really fits in, it slots into Google Analytics. And it all started in 2005, which seems like an eternity ago, but also not that long ago at the same time. It's kind of weird. And I started with a little company called Urchin, which we acquired. And I'd asked earlier, some of you have heard about it. Who of you are actually still using it? Is anybody here who's using it? Maybe one person. So it's two people. So it's actually still out there, so you can still use it. It's a paid-for analytics product. It's brilliant. But what really led this acquisition was a year later, something that you're all familiar with is Google Analytics. And this was really revolutionary. The idea that an analytics package is made available for people for free, which is pretty damn awesome. And as the time kind of progressed, we made it look prettier, we made it look a little bit more modern, we added new features, functionality, which was one thing that Google you can count on as being extremely competitive and having new features, new ways of doing things, really exciting stuff. And the way to look at it really, up until basically today, the evolution of Google Analytics specifically is around accessibility, making it accessible, democratizing web analytics, which back in the day was exceptionally expensive, still is expensive, for everybody. So we have here in the October is the Urchin acquisition, and then finally through to 2006 the actual launch of Google Analytics. We have here basically the concept of something that used to be only for the very few. So you had to be a specialist to really understand this. But now it's probably more and more common that your clients, your CEOs, your CIOs, your CFOs actually want to see this data. They understand the data. And the reason for this is we've made it accessible in the first place. Now we've moved it from the back room into the boardroom. We've brought enterprise features out, which you would expect to be heavily expensive, something you have to pay for. We've now actually basically brought out in a free product for you to learn and discuss with your clients. And then finally, we made analytics intelligent. And just again, if you use Google Analytics, if you log in, please check out intelligence. It's basically helping you find the needle in the haystack. It's showing you things that will take you an exceptional amount of time to go through your data, especially if you have a very large client or a very large website. And this brings us to today. So, I don't know how many of you are aware that we launched a completely new version of Google Analytics recently. Okay, so our marketing team did a good job. Everybody who is able to log into Google Analytics or has a Google Analytics account should have access to this now. It looks new, it looks very different, but that is again just the tip of the iceberg. This is possibly the biggest change, well actually not possibly, it is the biggest change we've done to this tool in its history. And it's unbelievably exciting what we have in store and what this enables us. So what we have is a faster, much more powerful platform. And again, this vision of we live in this world where we're accelerating, data is becoming more and more and more, and just more. We need tools that are able to tackle this for you and help you tackle this, and help you and your clients tackle it. And I'm not going to go into too much detail, because I'm running out of time here, in regards to what this does, but just trust me, it's faster than intuitive, it's much more powerful. I don't know how many of you know event tracking, or heard of event tracking? Great. We're now finally to create a goal for event tracking, which is massive. So now any site interaction, you can make it a conversion goal. Any site interaction. Literally think of whatever you want on your site, you can make that a goal, which is hugely powerful. More importantly, but something that's a little more esoteric or harder to describe, is the concept of a powerful platform. And it's our investment into the infrastructure at Google where we allow to make this a platform. If you remember the vertical sliding into the horizontal, creating a foundation, a tool foundation that is going to become faster, quicker, allows you to scale as we go through that exponential curve, as your clients become a little more demanding. And for us, it means we can really shift the paradigm. We can launch quicker, faster. So in terms of, from a technology perspective, we're able to deliver much cooler things quicker, to make it really simple. And so what does this mean in a world where everyone is always connected constantly? I have like freaking 2 phones on, which are online, and I've got a laptop, I've got another laptop at home, which is online. I can control my laptop from a mobile. And it's these things that are happening. So what keeps our engineers excited? It's exceptionally exciting. And we see really the opportunity here being fragmentation, which I think people think of as very, very challenging. It's like, oh God, I've got all these various means of trying to understand now, and all these very, very specific, and Pascal was talking about it. But now you're able to actually target these fragments. You're now able to look at attribution modeling. You're able to say, okay, these conversions that happen for my client, there's an actual channel, funnel that these went through, and you can attribute them to various traffic sources, if you like. And I want to show you a quick video.
When someone visits your website and does something you want them to do, like buy an item or visit a certain page, it's called a conversion. And as a marketer, you've probably set up conversion tracking to see what's working. Usually, the last ad, search, or referral clicked on directly before the conversion gets all the credit. In reality, a conversion is a lot like scoring a goal in a basketball game. It takes more than one player to make it happen. And if you were coaching the team, you'd want to see all the players who assisted in the goal, so you could identify how they interacted and score again and again, right? It's the same in online marketing. If you think of the marketing channels that drive traffic to your site as your players, the ones making the assists are often just as important as the one making the goal. The ways your customers interact with your channels are all part of the marketing funnel leading to conversion. Often, your customers engage more with these channels than they do with the final click that's getting all the credit. Imagine being able to see how your customers interacted with all your channels before the conversion.
You get the point. Basically, this is what's keeping us up at night. And this is a feature, it's kind of a sneak preview, and you can look at the video in your own time. But this is something that is still actively being developed, but it's extremely powerful. And I'm very curious and keen to hear what you guys think about this. So in these networking sessions Gabriel alluded to, I really want to hear your thoughts. If this is something that your clients are interested in, is understanding the multiple touch points, the attribution, that is definitely something I want to hear your stories as we do this. And as I said, there's one constant that remains the same. And again, also Pascal again mentioned this, is this continual optimization. It's this ability to be able to react quickly. It's something that you shouldn't necessarily be unaware of already. I mean, this is something everybody knows. It's like, it's part of the hygiene, if you like. And it's important for you to drive home to your clients that always be testing is a psychological necessity in this day and age, you need to be constantly reinventing yourself. You need to be constantly optimizing. You cannot just launch a website. You need to continuously launch a website, non-stop. You need to be able to make changes. And I think there's a beautiful saying in African proverb which says, you do not test, the depth of a river with both feet. It's kind of crazy. Yet we see clients do this all the time. They jump into the deep end, not knowing how deep it's going to be. And it's this idea of being able to test, using our technology to test is absolutely crucial. And Pascal again talked about this from the display perspective. Isn't it incredible that you now can run ads highly specialized, highly optimized, highly targeted? And this is only going to become better. We have a tool called Google Website Optimizer, which I'm sure some of you have heard about. And this is a tool that really helps you test. And I think this brings me to an end of my presentation, and I hope you're excited. And this little guy here is probably one of my favorite internet pictures of all time. It's one of the big memes, but it's that excitement. I mean, we're looking at a really, really, really cool time ahead, and Google Analytics is going to make you feel like that. I promise. Thank you very much.